Welcome to the VIP Developer Roundtable, where I, your host, Ben Kilsin Walters, ask our developers the big questions from the VIP community. Visit pantheonmmo.com/pledge to ask yours. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Okay, hi folks. It's that time of the month again, and I have another two Visionary Realms legends with me today. We have Director of Human Resources, Jeanna BlueEyedGator Ruschell, and Internal Communications Manager, Lynn Princess Ashworth. How you going, ladies?
Ben, how are you?
Doing good?
Good.
I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I'm going to fall back to my Australian and say I butcher everything, but if I did, I'm very sorry. Please correct me.
Ruschell.
Ruschell. Okay, I'm very phonetical, so I kind of like read it as I can.
You won't be the first or the last.
Gets me in a lot of trouble.
No.
Okay, well, if you guys are ready, we'll jump straight into the first question.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we'll start with Jeanna. Do you feel it's more important for HRs to hire a surplus number of employees for better allocation of duties on the job, but a lesser form of internal communications, or for a smaller niche company with lesser allocation of a job task, but better, more advanced intercommunications? Nice technical question to start with.
Yeah, it is. And it was hard to answer because we're not a niche company.
I know.
But regardless, I understood exactly what they meant. And communication is absolutely important, regardless of the team size. If people don't receive the information that they need to do their job, they aren't going to be able to produce what the company needs them to produce to be a success.
Exactly. Spot on. Do you have anything to add, Lynn?
Well, Jeanna is absolutely right. And I think it comes down to a balance. Your balance is key. And finding that balance is where you have a challenge. But you have to be willing to face it, and you have to be willing to adapt to it, which is easier said than done.
Yes, and spot on. We have to definitely have to be adapt to changes in pretty much everything in this industry too. So, which I think our team is really good at doing.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so which one of the above would you describe Visionary Realms currently in the past, and in the future?
VR has actually been everywhere in between over the years. Right now, we're firmly focused on assigned tasks and providing the necessary tools and support needed to accomplish those tasks.
Good stuff. So I think this is actually a pretty important question we're going to move into that probably goes across every department, but specifically for you girls, which skill sets do you think are important to you now more than ever? We'll start with Lynn.
Oh, so I've had to reflect on this because it is one of those things that can change as you grow, as every passing year. Before the pandemic, I had a very different answer. So for me, what I think is most important now is to practice, and it's always about practicing active listening. Be willing to collaborate and engagement. You have to seek out and engage people. And I think it's the basic principles for me are, do you want to hear the other person and understand their perspective? Do you want to work as a team and share your knowledge, or do you prefer to work alone? And for me, it's always the former. And lately, in the past couple of years, I've put more of a focus on developing a better emotional intelligence so that I can grow personally and professionally. And it is not an easy task. And the more I do it, the more I feel that it's serving me well.
Yeah, what a great answer. That's very well said.
Absolutely. And emotional intelligence is one of those things that people don't think about, but we have focused on that a lot lately at VR. Well, for a while now at VR. And I think it's incredibly important, Lynn. So I totally agree with you. For us in the current workplace and even post-COVID, it's going to be really important to have people who are able to self-motivate, that can keep learning and growing their skills whatever way they can, whether it be in a brick and mortar school or online. Remote workplaces are not going to go away.
No, they're
Well
not.
said.
Exactly. Very well said. And that's very true. I think especially after COVID and the lockdowns, it showed that how efficient people can be from home, and then a lot of businesses are looking to restructure their model to make that more accessible for people, which it saves costs for the businesses, but also it basically gets more out of the workers, I think, because they're in their home environment, they're relaxed, their fridge is in the next room, they've got their home quality of lives and family and stuff, and they tend to do more work. But yeah, that skill set is incredibly important. Yeah, great answers. Good job.
Thank you.
So, are Visionary Realms able to take on people who work for free? This person recalls an issue with GMs in EverQuest where the company could not have people volunteering and were legally required to pay them. What is the case now, and can we, or now in the future, take unpaid volunteers to help with development? For example, maybe QA. We'll start with Jeanna.
Well, in addition to our traditional full-time and part-time contractors, VR's always been fortunate enough to have people at various stages in their careers who were and are able to volunteer, so to speak, their efforts. And they've been incredibly important to us over the years. Every single person has some type of formal contract. And even if it's a small amount that allows us to be compliant in legal requirements. So while this isn't the ideal situation, it has allowed us to keep the project going during the really lean times.
So what kind of team building activities, if any, do we do with VR staff? Do any of these occur in Terminus? And also, given that the staff resides in both Australia and the US, and some other countries, do you have plans on convening your next in-person staff retreat in a location between the two continents, say Hawaii? And yes, please, just quietly. I will await for the company jet, and I will see you in Hawaii.
There you go. We do have regular team meetings, and we have many channels where people can get together and discuss pretty much whatever they'd like. We've talked about an in-person meeting, and it is something that I've recently brought up now that things are starting to get a little bit better. But for a multitude of reasons, it's just not feasible anytime real soon. But whoever suggested Hawaii, I'm with you there. So that would be great.
Absolutely. What about you, Lynn?
So I think, as Jeanna said, it was, I recall Brad used to talk about this a lot. He so wanted to have everyone come together just that once. And, the logistics, it was just not feasible. And sometimes, some of us have gotten that chance to do some exhibitions, games exhibitions or expos. And that's been fantastic because you at least get a little bright reminder of what it could be. But yes, I think it's something that we have an intention to do. It's just not going to happen now, especially after what's happened the last 2 years. Hawaii is a brilliant idea. It's strategically located. But I am allergic to the sun, and I have to avoid pineapples. But I'm still willing to go because what a trooper I am. I'll just go, guys. I if you must, I guess I'll just get my parasol.
Take one for the team. Just keep me the hell away from pineapples and you'll put up with it.
But I can have coconuts if there are coconuts.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. Do you find it a struggle to deal with HR and communications when most everybody, if not all, works remotely?
Well, like most things, it's as easy or as hard as you make it. While we have many of the same challenges that other companies do, but we always find a way to work them out.
Absolutely. How about you, Lynn?
Oh, I would say it's not just these two domains. When it comes to remote working, there is a learning curve and an adjustment period that we all had to go through. Thankfully, most of our team have been working remotely for years and have grown and adapted to it and have found ways to appreciate it. But we've also found ways to overcome some of the challenges and the barriers. In particular, the lack of face-to-face communication means that I don't know how you're reacting. I don't know how you feel. So you know, text is very black and white. It can come across any which way you infer it. But I think what VR has done so tremendously well is that we really have gotten used to who we are to each other. We know the people that we're talking to. And I think we've all just kind of grown with it. I think there was a willingness to grow, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is definitely challenges with remote. Like I've been obviously in Australia remote since I've started and even as a fan. And it can be very difficult. It's something I've never done before. And I've had to kind of adjust my mentality towards it too. And you're right, like that text, it's so black and white. There's no feeling or meaning behind it. And it can be misinterpreted and people, you can't see someone's facial expressions or, a cheeky smile when they type something. So, it's not having that personal, contact one-on-one can be difficult. But I think we actually deal with that really well and have for many years. We've obviously a few obstacles pop up here and there, but for the most part, we're so passionate about what we do and everybody is so great at their job that I think, we all kind of gel and just move towards that one goal. But yeah, it's definitely comes with its challenges.
Absolutely. And I think you said it just best. We all had to remind ourselves, every single one of us, that we're all here for the same reason. And that there were no sides, there were no enemies, there were just allies and friends. Like we're all trying to get to the same goal. And I think once we started to kind of remind ourselves, almost like a mantra, I think a lot of difficulties started to fade away. Yeah,
absolutely. So we're going to move on to an extremely important question here, probably the most important of the whole developer roundtable. Is it true that every time Roenick is brought back to life, he has to fill out all his HR forms again?
Yes. And to be honest, it's getting a little bit tiresome. He has his own file of ready-made forms. But for those of you who weren't with us a little earlier when I had my own bean spillage, I'll let you in on a little secret. My number of deaths would probably be 10 times what his is.
He's just get advertised. You just dethroned him. Oh, that's amazing. How does Roenick's deaths affect you, Lynn?
Oh, and I've been very candid about this in the past. I really enjoy rubber stamping his forms. I feel a sense of wholeness, and it makes me feel like a bureaucrat. So that feeds the evil Princess Lynn that we try and ignore, but sometimes she just shines through. But I will also say, because I have self-awareness, I have made a stamp for Jeanna to use on my forms. For I have learned one should never throw Roenick's bones whilst living in a glass house.
Very well said. Oh, poor Roenick. He cops it every DRC. Somehow, the community will weave a question in about him. Oh, my goodness.
That will get me off his list, right? That was the kind thing.
We shall see. I'll wait for the message. I'll wait for the message after this. It's like, what the hell, bro? Among the staff that you have onboarded thus far, what were some outstanding green flags which communicated that the prospective staff members were a good fit for the Visionary Realms team?
That's really a great question. This would probably be along the lines of the types of intangibles that can't really be taught, like being a great team player, a great communicator, a really good listener or even just a fantastic supporter. So being able to do these things effectively lessens the chance that there's going to be bigger issues later on.
Yeah, well said. What about you, Lynn?
I completely agree with Jeanna. And I think, I think the green flags are always, it's that color that's so vibrant. You see it clearly when the minute someone starts. And I would say in our staff, every time someone started, like we've had new staff start recently, just amazing. Like the first hello, and you brighten up and you think, oh, wow, this is fantastic. And I think perhaps it's because they thought it through. Are they a good fit for the company, but is the company a good fit for them? And were they willing to learn and grow and contribute? And I think our team as a whole fits that. We're just really fortunate that way. And
Yeah.
I think everyone has a green flag. There are no red flags with our team. Aside from me, maybe, but I've been around long enough. You guys just roll your eyes and say, okay, Lynn. They're there.
I'm going to bring that up.
No, good. Yeah, well done. Okay, so what makes a good resume stand out in your eyes? This is a tricky one. I think a lot of people have a misconception about resumes, about just dumping as much information as possible in there so to wow the person, when I don't think they understand that person eye rolls that and tries to flick through and speed read to the stuff that just is applicable to them. So what do you guys think?
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, you're right. Because if you think about how many resumes or CVs that person might get in a day, if it's 5 and 6 pages, plus you have to go look at reels and you have to go look at websites and art stations, it's a lot. And for me, a really good resume is one that's clear, it's concise, one page, it hits all the pertinent information, preferably if it's bullet pointed if you can, but not always. But that it's related to the position that you're interested in. You might have a ton of experience doing many different things, but if it doesn't apply to what your current interest is, you may just want to omit it. There's nothing wrong with creating several different resumes for different types of positions. And those are the ones that people are going to take the time to look at and not roll their eyes.
Yeah, bang on.
So to speak.
What are your thoughts, Lynn?
Well, I agree. I mean, you can't write a novella and have people want to read through it. I was once told in one industry, not the gaming industry, that you had about 40 seconds to catch someone's attention before they moved on to the next resume. And that is difficult. 40 seconds is not a long time to make sure that the most powerful thing about you is literally jumping off that page. So I think sometimes we have to put ourselves almost in the place of the person looking to hire, which is very difficult because you're kind of having to guess what is it that they're wanting to see. But I think deep down, if you know, I'm really good at this, this is the experience, this is what I'm most proud of, that might capture their attention long enough to get them to keep reading. And I have to share this with you because in my youth, I came across a resume and it was a novella. It was about 18 pages. And at the footer, they had written things like, keep reading to learn more about me. Oh, you're almost there. Turn over the next page. It was condescending. It was patronizing. And I remember my manager looked at me, pulled a face, and just dropped it in the shredder and walked away. I mean, it was, and I just remember thinking, oh, there's a lesson to be learned here. Don't do that.
Don't be that person.
No, they did not get the job.
It's weird. Like, I remember when I was younger going for jobs, like it was required. They wanted you to give as much. It was obviously to be related to the position you're going for, but they wanted as much as possible. So there was like references in there. There was any work I'd done. There was a list of all my qualifications, copies of certificates to prove that. Like it was, I don't know, I probably got up to about, 8 or 9 pages. But obviously in the front cover would list what I had in there so they could skim over it and know, and then flip to the pages I had numbered of what they wanted to look at. But these days it's literally 1 or 2 pages, nice and short and sweet. I have a separate folder or bag with the evidence in there. So if they do ask for it, you can produce it and not just go, oh, it's at home and just hope that they believe you. But yeah. Yes. It's changed a lot, but it's more time efficient these days. So get as much relative or relatable information as you can in there, and then save the person some
precise. Time. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Pen.
No, not a problem.
Be precise and be concise.
Correct.
That's what you want. Yeah, and sell yourself, which is not easy for many of us.
Someone said in the chat, elevator pitch. So basically 20, 30 seconds, sell yourself much relatable information as possible, and then get out of there. And you're probably going to leave a much better lasting memory, and that person's going to be relieved and have more time to think about you than all the information you've just dumped on them. All right, so back to the questions. What is our onboard process like, and how long does it usually take? We'll go with Jeanna.
Our onboarding is pretty much just like most other places. Being contractors through necessity makes it a little easier to process. Once somebody joins us, they then go through an orientation process and a policy process. So it's much like any other organization or company.
Yeah, cool. Nice and straightforward. Do we use to-do programs such as Trello to communicate with departments, like with what tasks need to be done during any given day / week?
So we do. We happen to use Jira and Confluence, and we use Trello. Only one team uses Trello just because it's the most lightweight tool. We don't really need anything more complex than that. But like any organization, you need, or perhaps sometimes you feel that you don't need the right tools for the type of work. So what we've tried to do is we try and reflect what is it that we need, what can give us, which tool can give us what we need. So we use it, we don't overuse it, we don't underuse it. About balance. It's a challenge, but we're getting there. And obviously, we do use Discord a lot for many communications. So
yeah,
there's someone in the company who was like, don't get a tool for the sake of getting a tool. And I have been guilty of that in the past. Yes. And now I've learned more. Why do I need to use this tool? This tool does not serve me. There's no value or benefit to me or to anyone else. I'm not using this tool. Then I cross my arms.
I like it. The arm cross at the end is it's like a polite foot stamp. So I put my foot down, my arms are crossed.
But sometimes it's not so polite.
Well, we've tried a few different things. I won't go into them all, but we've found that Skype does work best for us with kind of whole team communications, just because of the channels. I bet you if we poll the team on it, not everyone is overly impressed with Skype, but it serves us well and does what we need it to do. So until something amazing comes along that's also free or not too expensive, we can move to that. But yeah, it's basically just using what we need and keeping it nice and minimal just to get the job done.
That's right.
Lastly, of all the companies, most of them that need a HR department, what made you apply to start up Visionary Realms HR department? Did it offer a unique challenge to create an onboarding process from scratch, or something else? We'll go with Jeanna first.
Well, I've been in HR for, don't want to say, but nearly 30 years. So when I joined VR, as a moderator with Kilsin.
Yes, good old days.
2014. Yes. Yeah. So over the years, as the team evolved, so did the need to start creating things. I stayed for quite a while, and we weren't quite at a formal HR type point in the company yet. So I left for a little while. And when I came back a little over a year ago now, it was time to get serious about a formalized HR. And we've been in it ever since.
And we are very glad you came back.
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be back.
Make the team grow again. Lynn, do you have anything to add?
So I will say this, Jeanna was very much missed. And when she came back, it lifted a lot of spirits. We were thrilled when she came back. And I think it was the best timing. I think things happen for a reason. And she came back at the right moment, exactly when we needed her the most. So as many things in my life, I just fall into things. Potholes, careers, domains, whatever's in my path. So there was a need to join Jeanna. I wanted to very much grow in that area. I wanted to have that exposure and that new challenge and develop a new skill set. And Jeanna was terribly kind to take me on and mentor me. She has been my rock star. I feel like every time I speak to her, I get a new perspective on things. And I really cannot thank her enough for that.
Yeah, that's
Very
awesome.
well.
He's definitely a gem. I can definitely agree with the rock star status.
Nice. You're going to make me cry.
Stop it.
I want more wine.
All right. So this is probably the second most important question of the whole roundtable is, do you communicate about any beans being dropped? We'll start with Jeanna. Very important question.
Beans are dropping from HR about beans being dropped. Confidentiality is the key in HR.
There you go. How about you, Lynn?
You don't have the security clearance to ask that question.
Well, as the original keeper of beans, I don't let anything through.
So I cannot confirm nor deny.
There you go. Perfect answer. Yeah, it's funny. I got 2 community-given titles. I had no say in this. They got slapped on me and repeated many, many times. It was the Keeper of Beans and the Crusher of Dreams back in the day. Because I used to help when Monty used to stream and Jopper was talking alongside him. I used to help mod the Twitch stream and kind of catch anything quickly before it dropped or reiterate. And got a pretty quick. That title got dropped on me quite fast and stuck over the years. But I think Ben Dean, because his name rhymes with it, Ben Dean the Beankeeper or something, they've worded it properly. So he's the 2.0 version. He's the new and improved version of the Beankeeper. So I like that.
There you go.
I'll defer to him. But that's great. All right, so
And he's not spilling.
no,
That's right.
He's not. If he spills, it's strategic. All right, so in January's developer newsletter, it was mentioned that we are preparing for team-wide expansion and setting up the infrastructures, policies and procedures, to support more people coming in. How has this process gone for us and the team? Go with Jeanna.
I think it's going really well. The larger the team grows, the more important it is for us to provide the communications and the feedback. So, that's when it's important to have those policies and procedures in place.
Yeah, spot on. How about you, Lynn?
I think Jeanna has it absolutely right. It's timing. And it has to be scalable. So we can have something smaller now and we can scale the policies to what we currently have and what we need. But we also have to remain cognizant not to burden the teams with policies that are not currently required if it's good enough. I think oftentimes we forget, do we have what is the foundation of what we need? Is it good enough? Does it meet our needs? And then in the future, we look towards scaling up or adding things or even adjusting it. They can't be, the worst thing about a policy, people put it on the shelf and they walk away and then they forget all about it. And the policy has to reflect your current state and your current environment. So,
and we don't let them.
No.
And we don't.
Very well said.
No, we don't.
We don't let them forget it.
No, because we can't. Because that's just, sometimes you just have to let that little bureaucrat in you just out and say, people, there's a policy here. Have you read the policy? You have to. It comes with the territory. You have to be willing to accept that.
100%. And look, policies and procedures are there for a reason too. Like they serve a very important part. And coming from a background I had in executive risk management, I was part of the process of writing those and enforcing them. And enforcing such a harsh word. Helping people follow them, which probably sounds a bit friendlier.
That's the crusher of dreams.
Yeah, there you go. And switch masks. But they're so important. Constant refreshers and that people don't remember them. Like they go on for years and there can be multiple of them. So it is important to refresh them. And you ladies are amazing at keeping everyone in check and up to date with everything like that. Even with our most recent ones, you make it fun. We have a good chat and an interview about it, a good, Skype chat about it, and then go off and do it and get it done. And then, it's over and done with. Everyone's on the same page. It's fresh in everyone's mind, and we carry on with our work. All right. Thank you. Are the responsibilities of HR limited to the real world, or do they also reach into the game world? If so, can you give an example or two?
Definitely. It does happen. Issues that affect the real world certainly can be carried over into the game world. And we have to take them seriously, whether it be gender issues, ageism, bullying, harassment of any type. Some of the many issues that VR takes into account and addresses. Yeah,
very well said. How about you, Lynn?
Well, Jeanna's absolutely right. And it is a sad state. In many industries, you only have to focus on the workplace, but our industry is not just the workplace. It is our social space. And what we do in our work life, our work day, you want to log on and you want to have fun. And unfortunately, this is the reality of the world that we live in. It's carrying over to a place where once upon a time, it was just the majority of people simply wanted to have fun. However, I will say this, in our community, you do see that spiritness of wanting to have fun and wanting to come together and be, and provide that healthy space so everyone can enjoy it. So it's a wonderful feeling, but it is something that we still have to be aware of and we have to be ready for.
Absolutely. And look, the real world is always going to leak into fantasy worlds. Like, people are going to come home from a hard day at work or have, something affect them in their lives with real world news or events that is going to change their emotions or their feelings. And they're going to come in to try to escape that in Pantheon and other games. And unfortunately, words or conversations in game may trigger a response, an emotional one or something, and it's going to be inevitable. But how we deal with that as a community and a company will be very important. And that's why the rules are in place, especially within the forums and stuff, is to keep, politics and religion and touchy subjects that can, offend people and cause, reactions that are unnecessary just out of our chat, and keep it to just our in-game world and keeping it positive and friendly and fantasy, so we can keep this, it's like a kind of like a safe place for people to come and just relax and escape all of that stuff and enjoy themselves, not have to worry about the real world stresses. And excuse my cat meow. I'm very sorry. That was poorly timed, mate. What are you doing?
My cat about that.
My cat just heard that too. Like here. I was thinking in my head here, and then the cat meowed, and my cat's ears just went back. Like, what is that? I don't like this. And what we were just talking about as well.
I know.
Cats have to learn how to behave as well and respect each other's opinion.
Couldn't have waited just a few more seconds, mate. Hopefully he will not continue. So yeah, very, very important though. So we've got those things in place to protect us, and I'm confident that as a community and a company, we'll keep that going forward in a nice, safe, happy place, and keep it nice and fantasy related and a place for people to escape instead of keep carrying those stresses over into our game world. All right, here's a nice fun question. Actually, no, not yet. Sorry, I have another one. I'm getting ahead of myself. What are internal communications? It makes me think of how Obi-Wan Kenobi speaks to Luke Skywalker. Have you taught the team to communicate in that way yet? We'll go with Jeanna.
Oh, actually, some of us use the Force. Others use communicator badges. There's still some internal debate over which one is better. So I'll let you guys figure that out.
Great answer. How about you, Lynn?
I think it's trial and error. I would love to have the ability to just be able to communicate in one way and have everyone just absolutely understand and know what I'm trying to say. But for me, I always see it through the lens of culture. You have to have a repertoire of communication tools. Which style should I use to communicate with people? So because my words may mean one thing in Canada and something completely different in Australia. And if I'm unaware, I might be less effective in how I communicate. I might think I communicated very well today. And yet Kilsin is thinking, I have no idea what she's trying to tell me. So I think it's a wonderful idea to have that kind of power. And I think that's why those characters in Star Wars, we revere them. You are an amazing communicator. I wish it were that easy. I really do, but it isn't. Maybe one day, though. Maybe one day we'll have our own language. What's Esperanto doing lately? Can we bring?
We can get Justin, JN to help us create our own language for VR. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, he's fine with that. We'll just pile it onto his tasks.
He's got plenty of time.
Yeah. Can you get this to us in 6 months, please? It's kind of a rush.
So what Pantheon class, in your opinion, would make the best HR director and why? We'll go with Jeanna.
The enchanter, hands down. Their ability to keep things under control and to handle chaos is key. Now, I don't play an enchanter, but I got to give it to them.
How about you, Lynn?
So that was a really interesting question. And I had to sit there for a while. And I thought, well, bad Lynn. So remember bad Princess Lynn. She would say Dire Lord. But good Princess Lynn is obviously the one that we want in the room. I would probably say shaman or monk, or a bit of both. Can we have a bit of both? Can we have a shamonk?
You can have whatever you want.
We can have a shonk, a new class shonk.
A shonk, yes. I think it's hard to say. I think it's I think it's like when we roll a new character, do we want to try this technique out today and see if that works? But I promise you this, it will never be Dire Lord. Because I don't want it talking to by Ben or Jeanna or Chris Rowan.
That's it. Honestly, I'd have to agree with you for CM as well. If I had, I was prepared in case one of you threw this at me, just in case. The same thing. It'd have to be probably the enchanter, just being front facing and communicating between the team and the fan base and vice versa. I think having those skills to mez and lock down and communicate and assist and be support, I think is critical. So it's a very good choice. Well done. All right, so that goes on to the next one, which I didn't actually see that question in there. Did someone slip that in?
I thought you wrote it.
Very sneaky. But there you go, answered it anyway. So we're going to separate these ones. We've got a specific question for Jeanna and then a specific question for Lynn. So Jeanna, do you facilitate communications between VR and outsourced companies that helps with the development of Pantheon, i.e. art assets, etc.? And what are some of the challenges, if so? And also, why are you called the BlueEyedGator?
When it comes to outsourcing, we take a team approach. So depending on what department needs that outsourcing, they take the lead on that. As far as my nickname, I got it many, many years ago when I first started gaming. I have very blue eyes, and I'm a huge Florida Gator fan. That's Blue-Eyed Gator.
Nice.
And I'm looking at you, Gators. I see you over there lurking.
Good stuff. All right. So, Lynn, question for Princess. What is the full-time to the part-time ratio of employees, and how will the ratio change moving forward? Also, how did you become Princess?
Oh, that's a very, very good questions. So our balance is it's the optimal word here. We still have more part-time employees than full-time. However, I'm very happy to say that we have actually grown in full-time employees over the years. So our balance is actually evening out slowly as we scale up and as we progress. We would very much like to keep changing the ratio, obviously, to more full-time staff as we are able to. So I think sometimes we have to remember too, even if you are just part-time, the part-time staff we have are delivering beyond and above in the quality of work and their dedication. So sometimes we look at it in just maybe hours or whatnot, but we actually look at it as how much benefit we're getting from these people who can only do it part-time. And we are genuinely grateful for that. We really are, to everyone on this team.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
As for my names, so my name, well, when I started, I had this avatar that a friend had drawn for me before I had left Montreal for New City. And I had used it. And the avatar was supposed to be the rendition, a reimagining of the evil queen as the misunderstood queen. And someone, and I'm not going to say who, but someone started calling me Cess. And the name stuck. So I don't know if it's because of the avatar or it's because I'm a piece of work. Who can say? I can.
I love it.
And Jeanna will say it's the avatar.
Oh, I love it. All right, moving on to the next one. We're doing pretty well. We've got about 15 minutes left, so we'll go through as many more as we can, and then I'll hit some quickfire questions to you guys. All right, there have been a few hires from community members, sometimes for unlisted positions. Does the process differ between hiring for listed positions versus finding just the right person when a posting hasn't yet been made?
Well, you're right. Sometimes we come across somebody in the community who appears to have the right combination of skill, talent, and especially teamwork. And as stewards of the funds that you as the community give us and our investors entrust us with, it's our job to do the most we can with those funds.
Yeah, great answer. So, Lynn, have you always worked with in the game industry, and how did you end up where you currently are? What led you to finding VR Pantheon?
So no, I've worked in many different fields, and I truly never imagined I would ever get the opportunity to work in this industry. I ended up here really by chance. Someone on the team had known me. There was a need with my background and experience 6 years ago, and they put me forward. Brad and Chris Rowan met with me, and they deemed me good enough, and I joined. So it was just, I think it was luck. Honestly, I think it was just luck.
Very much more than just good enough.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But in my head, I always think, you're fine.
All right, so moving on to something a little bit different. Do you both also play games when you have the time? And if so, what are a couple of your all-time favorites, MMO or otherwise? We'll go with Jeanna.
It's been a while since I've played anything, really, probably since 2020 and COVID. But my last gaming was Atlas, which I could build all year long. It kept me sane. My all-time favorite was probably my first RPG, Skyrim. I play games of almost any genre. I loved the AC series until they overdid them. Other favorites are Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. I love Fallout, BioShock, Elder Scrolls, Dragon Age, Borderlands, and Destiny, among many others.
Nice. Everything you've put there is on my list of past or previous played as well. Very good. How about yourself, Lynn?
So one of the games that I fell in love with, and Ben Dean's going to start laughing, it's Elder Scrolls Online. I love that game. You don't understand how much I love it. I don't know why. I can't even begin. I freak out every time I think about this game. I just start freaking out. I love it. Skyrim, Fallout, BioShock, Red Dead Redemption, all the GTAs, Atlas, Ark. I love Ark because I love to scream, a dinosaur is eating my face. Dinos eat my face all the time in Ark. And Atlas, I enjoyed Atlas a lot. And in my youth, I was obsessed with the Resident Evil series. I mean, obsessed to a point where I was buying the toys and comic books, and
nice.
It was a lot. But what I love is to uncover a gem in a game. There's so many to name, but Pantheon was one of those things. It's that gem that draws people in, and they feel like, I can't believe I've discovered this. This is amazing. And so it's always those gems that I feel that bring you the most reward.
Yeah, awesome. Good answers. And those games, like you've mentioned a couple of huge ones that I'm sure a lot of our community have as well got on their lists or played. Elder Scrolls Online for me too. I didn't like it at first. I was so hyped for it, but however many years later, I've got 9 max level characters. I still go back to it. It's one of those games that just keeps sucking me in. I love the world. I love the environment, the lore, like everything. The combat took a little while to get used to, but even that now, I don't mind as much as I did back in the early days. I have a lot of fun with that game. I haven't played it for a few months. I'm in a bit of a break at the moment, but I totally get what you're saying about that game.
You hit me up next time you start playing. You remember me.
Will do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Will do. Done.
And all of you here, if you want to see how Princess Lynn cannot follow a group of people and get lost.
Or directions.
Or instructions. I'm not selling myself here, am I?
All right, so we'll start with Jeanna. What feature of Pantheon are you most excited about?
Well, mine will be nice and easy because that's too hard to answer without getting in trouble. So
there's too many. It's like picking your favorite child or something.
Exactly.
What about you, Lynn?
So for me, it's crafting. Well, first of all, I will say I'm very excited for fishing, but it's crafting. I love crafting, and I don't really understand why. However, I will say, if I were to give it my best guess, if I were to look deep down inside, I think it's because I'm not handy. I'm not artistic. But when I craft, I feel like I am. Like it gives me an outlet to live vicariously through this avatar. Look at me, I've crafted something. I also love to pick things up. I'm a bit of a hoarder. Many years ago, people used to refer to me as the Duchess of Swag because I just love to pick up random, how many spider legs do you possibly need? I need all the spider legs. I need everything. You just never know when it's going to come in handy. So, yes.
Exactly.
I'm very excited for that.
I love crafting too, and I actually think I've never really known why, because I'm not very artistic or creative in that way either. I'm more analytical and more straightforward. But I think exactly how you described it probably describes my liking for crafting too. It gives me a chance someone's created the recipe. I've just got to go get the stuff, and then I feel like I'm actually a part of it and I'm being creative. Uh-huh. That's cool. Well said.
And then we never have enough inventory space. So,
there's that. So don't ever open a trade with Lynn because she won't have any room.
I have plenty of spider legs, though. I don't know what your problem is.
Dump a few stacks of spider legs in your inventory for you. So, Jeanna, what are you proud of but never have had an excuse to talk about?
Probably that I got my degree while I was working full time and raising my family.
Nice. Very, very tough. Underrated. Very, very difficult.
Yes.
to have that kind of mental stamina and, you know, when you're buggered and you've got, you know, dinner on the table and the kids to look after and family, and to still concentrate and have that time aside, plus work and everything is very difficult. I think a few people in our community can relate to that, but yeah, very good achievement.
Well, that's where self-motivation comes highly in handy.
Absolutely. How about you, Lynn?
So that was a hard question. I wasn't really sure, but then I've lived abroad several times. Again, it was to avoid a career and growing up. So I took the approach of being a smart slacker, and to prolong my education. So I would look at a map and decide, okay, where can I possibly go? And then I would look up the visas, and then I would secure a visa, and then I would pack. And I would kind of have a little bit of a plan, but not really anything concrete. And then I would get on a plane, and then I would just figure it out as I went. And I think now how insane that sounds and how mind-blowing, but I just did it. And I think I wanted to push myself. I think I wanted to test myself, and it helped me grow. I matured and I grew up very quickly when you are alone in foreign countries trying to figure things out on your own. And you learn how to make friends quickly. You have to learn how to be the best you because you want to hang out with people. You want to do things. So I'm really grateful I did that.
Yeah, nice. That's a good achievement as well. Much harder than people think to just take off by yourself to the unknown. It's very respectable.
Thank you.
All right. So we've got a few minutes left. We'll try and squeeze in as many as we can. So we might try and keep the answers as short as we can, just so we can chuck in a few more questions. But Jeanna, given the historical challenges game development has had, what efforts are being made, and how is VR approaching developing a diverse workforce? Good question.
It really is, especially in light of, some of the things going on in today's environment. But VR is dedicated to a diverse workforce, and we will continue to be, but not at the expense of hiring the best or the right person. Not at the expense of hiring the right or the best person for the job. People often hear that diversity and automatically think that it means a gender or a color. But it's more than that. It's people's age, it's their experiences, it's how they think, their thought processes, orientation, and really so much more. We're probably a lot more diverse team than others think, but we'll always be focused to do more about diversity as we continue to grow.
That's an amazing answer. And I think a lot of people are kind of, shoehorned into thinking that it is just gender or color when it is so much more than that. And as a company, knowing that it's more than that and being able to manage that and, understand people in a better light and be as accepting as we are, I think is, just a credit to everybody on the team. But yeah, very good answer.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, do VR have plans to switch from remote work to in-person at a central office? If so, where? Jeanna?
It'd be ideal to have a team in one central location like San Diego, but it's not possible to right now. One day we could envision a time where we have maybe a hybrid team of office staff while allowing some of our people to still continue to work remotely.
Yeah, awesome. How about you, Lynn?
I agree with Jeanna. And I think there's just one thing to add is that there's always a benefit to both. So you have to just get that balance and know where does that value bring. Is it more valuable to have in-person versus, staff remaining remote? And I think there is the hybrid approach has probably the best benefit to everyone, the company and to the staff.
Absolutely. And yeah, as much as I love working remotely, I also am like dying for the day that I can meet up with you guys and, share a drink and some food and a chat and a laugh and see each other in person would be amazing. But I continue to be patient and wait for that private jet to come pick me up with a big VR logo on it and say, we're going to Hawaii to meet the team.
I'll come get you. Yes. We'll have to spend a couple of days with you first and then we'll go.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, it's a long trip.
Yeah.
So any plans for something like EverQuest's old apprentice program for non-dev employees to potentially join the development team? Jeanna?
It'd be great to have an intern program, yes. But right now it's really not feasible because that would take so much time away from the people who are putting a lot of time into the project already.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to skip the next question because we have answered already in an extended version of one of our own, like what platforms does VR use to communicate? And we did mention that Skype is our main one. We also use Discord and a few others. So the next one is what a question. Is any person's pet or child infamous internally for their unexpected appearances during meetings, calls, or such? E.g. Dev Roundtables. We'll go with Jeanna.
Actually, I have a mini Australian Shepherd who I had to shut out of the bedroom because he loves talking, especially to Chris Rowan. Every time he hears Chris's voice, he will start talking to him. When they're whining, he talks and he doesn't shut up.
I love it. Australian Shepherds are beautiful dogs too.
He's not
Lynn, how about you?
So, Ben, I don't know if you remember this, but I had a cat named Marmite.
Oh, I do.
Passed away. Remember Marmite?
I do.
He would purr. He would stand on me and purr during the team calls. And Ben once said, "Is that your cat purring?" I said, "Yes, that's Marmite." And then Marmite shouted. Marmite loved to shout if he felt you were busy. And then he would sit there and he would scratch. So his collar and bell would swing around his neck and go ding, 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 ding for like 2 minutes. And you couldn't stop him. And if you tried to walk away, he would follow you yelling.
Very persistent.
He was part of the team. I don't know what everyone's problem was. He felt like, he had a role to play.
Absolutely. And that meow you heard earlier was my cat called Tommy. I nicknamed him Tommy the Tank because he's huge. He's like 11 and a half kilos and he's lost weight. And he's a big cat. He's not just fat. I mean, he's a little bit fat too, but he's just a big cat. And I rescued him from a couple of my personal training clients who had some big dogs that were kind of bullying him, and they just said he was a lovely boy. He was like 7 years old. He just needed attention. He was, so friendly. And I talked it over with my girlfriend at the time and grabbed him. And once I saw photos and saw him, he's just amazing. He's like a little dog. He's so friendly. But as you heard, he's very needy. He'll come over and as you said, Lynn, whenever he thinks that someone's busy or talking, he's like, "Hey, why aren't you paying attention to me?" And he'll come and head bump you and meow until you give him some attention. But he's now quietly asleep behind me, thankfully. All right, so let's move on. We're pretty much only got a couple of minutes, but we're coming up to Quickfire, so we'll try and get through them all because there's some good questions in here. How does VR currently approach HR? A more bare bones, keep it legal approach, or are you more active with developing each employee, i.e. performance appraisals, evaluating and raising skill gaps? Planning future growth, skill acquisitions, succession planning, etc. Jeanna?
Sure. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but we definitely have been there over the years. Right now, it's a matter of filling out as we create the policies and procedures we need in order to be responsible in the way we grow.
Yeah, well said. Can you discuss how VR views and approaches future hiring needs? Like what sort of plans and systems is being developed to support a potentially massive expansion of the team before release, and then supporting what could be a massive amounts of players at release?
Sure. Each department head is responsible for keeping their own hiring plan up to date, and that includes staffing needs and what positions are ready. And that way, since our resources fluctuate depending on crowdfunding and investments, we always have a plan ready should we get an influx of revenue.
Yeah, nice. Good stuff. How about you, Lynn?
Oh, it's well said. We have to identify the resources we need to plan around it, prioritize, and then move to staff. like any organization, really. It's just a different case when you have crowdfunding. So we just adapt.
Absolutely. All right. So I got some good quickfire questions here. So as short an answer as possible. We'll start with Jeanna. Why are you working for VR? What about this company keeps you motivated?
This team, love them.
Good answer. Lynn?
The team, the game, and the friendships that I've formed. I have friends.
Yes, you do. I love it. We've already gone over this, but are you both gamers?
Yes, and I'm sad to say I'm usually the oldest one in my group. So if you see me in game, please try to remember that.
What about you, Lynn?
Yeah, I've been gaming since 19. Excuse me. Yep.
I didn't catch that. Was that last one? Some digits missing.
19.
You're around there. What has been your favourite game to date, Jeanna?
Skyrim.
Oh, good one. That's still selling. Like 12 years later. And I think I've bought them all. I don't know. I get sucked into modding as well with like 300, 400, 500 mods. But yeah, great game. How about you, Lynn?
Impossible to answer. Next question.
Yeah, there is so many. Do VR encourage you to play Pantheon?
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah, it's so good to, when I see an update and I know that, creative or dev have pushed something to test and that, it's like, ooh, straight away update in the background while I'm doing some CM stuff and jump in as soon as I can to see what changed. I love it. Try and figure it out before the patch notes. And will you play the game? Sorry. So VR encourages us to play, and will you play the game after launch, or would that be too much of a busman's holiday, like too close to work?
No, definitely. I can't wait.
Oh, I agree. I mean, that's been the experience that I personally have been looking forward to the most, is playing a game that I had a small role in helping create. So yes, for sure.
That's me too. Like I love playing it, but I also don't want to get too used to anything. Like it's not burnout. It's just, I want to find gems and stuff with my friends and my guild and the community when it goes live. So I try to just jump in and see some new things, get all excited and go, ooh, and then log out and try not to play it too much because I don't want to ruin my excitement. But it's very hard because everything we do at the moment is just, ramping that excitement up.
Yeah.
All right. So this one, I don't know about this question. Should I skip this one or?
No.
How on earth do you manage to keep the Aussie employees in hand?
They're big teddy bears, or should I say koalas?
Yeah, koala bears. Oh, Lynn?
I say shouting works, but only because of the physical distance between Canada and Australia. Nothing more.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
All right. So, with many employees at VR so enthusiastic about the development of the game, A, is the idea of a sensible work-life balance a complete dead duck? And B, how do you help everyone fight burnout? Good questions, Jeanna.
It is. Actually, we encourage each other all the time when it comes to those sort of things. If we notice somebody might be struggling, it's really important that we figure out why and we support them however we can.
Yeah, great answer. Lynn?
Well, I mean, it's work-life balance has become more and more of an issue that we recognize it as a human need and a human right. And that we have to start pushing it and realizing it more, that people have to figure out that balance for themselves. But I think as a company, over the years, we've been doing such a better job in talking about and supporting each other when people have felt worn down or in need of a break. I think what we've been doing is we've been encouraging people to talk a lot more about being stressed. It's no longer a taboo. It's no longer seen as a weakness. Stress affects us all, and stress can ruin your health. And we have to be aware of that, and we have to be willing to be courageous in talking about it and admitting it. So
yeah, absolutely.
And our staff's important to us. We don't want to lose people because of stress or burnout. It's just something you will try and avoid at all costs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very important too, because a lot of us, full-time or part-time, are so passionate and still put in so many hours to the company and to the job because doesn't feel like a job sometimes. We love what we do. So a lot of people can overwork without realizing it. And I know you girls especially, but the heads of departments too, like Ben and Chris Perkins and the guys are all very good about saying, no, look, you take a break today, take a rest, take a week off, take a day off, to manage that kind of burnout. So it's very well managed, I think, in this company, even though people are still keen and resist to take time off. It is very well managed. So good answers. Okay. So the very last one is it true you have to give a stern talking to anyone who drops more beans than Joppa in a given month?
I can neither.
Very, very tough. You got to be careful what we say too. We don't want the Joppa raining down on top of us. What about you, Lynn?
We have to protect the Joppa. No, not my style. Absolutely not my style. I am more cheerfully persistent to the extent that you'll do whatever you can do to avoid having to talk to me.
I like it. Kill him with kindness and keep talking and making yourself known.
That's right. Always say it with a big smile.
Well done, ladies. That was amazing. Thank you very much for giving up your valuable time to come on and talk to me and the community. I really appreciate it, and I hope to have you both on again in the not too distant future. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you all for coming in to listen to us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, folks. That's a wrap for another VIP Developer Roundtable. I hope you all enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe to Pantheon for more. If you want to get in on the live Developer Roundtables, you can by pledging as a VIP at pantheonmmo.com/pledge. Until next time, farewell.